Chapter 196. Part 2 of 5. More ghouls are coming through the gloom, Ava said. I'm picking up several. Taya, remember that this is an endurance run. Practice killing with the absolute minimum amount of force. I already know how powerful you are, so there's no one to impress. Ugh, fine. Blowing them up is more fun, though. Let's see. According to Twilight, ghouls are a subspecies of vampani. So I'd need to go for their heart, right? Ghoul might be a misnomer. You're lucky you didn't see the girl's actual form, because it was legit horrifying. Just assume you need to go for their brain. Got it. Her horn lit up and a dark bubble appeared over us. A moment later, a light that should have been blinding appeared above us, illuminating a large amount of the room we were in. It was obvious the place had once been beautiful. A few dead trees here and there made me assume it had likely been a park. The playground was large enough for a few dozen children. What was left of the church still looked pretty nice, minus the skeletons decorating it. The 20 undead beasts shambling towards us did a lot to mar the beauty, too. All of the skeletons hanging from the ceiling didn't help, either. Should I wait for them to get closer to see if they're hostile, too? Taya asked. Apparently I can't upset our unwanted guest. Don't be petty. Just kill them. She snorted and all the undead started collapsing, leaking black fluid from their ears and nose. Surviving here would have been much easier with magic, Ava said. We probably could have escaped. Escaped to what? I ask. This bunker is in the middle of Antarctica. You'd freeze to death the instant you got out of the elevator. Another bunker sent a rescue team, she said. They didn't know if there was anyone left alive, so we were struggling to get to the top before they left. The elevators were sealed, but we didn't know where they actually were. I went to the top of the shaft and Artyom went to the bottom. I made it, but I couldn't get them to work. Apparently he didn't make it. Why wouldn't everyone left alive abandon everything to work together to escape? I ask. This place was a nightmare among nightmares. The internal communication system died first, so the message didn't spread far. We happened to be holed up in a control room when the message came in. And of course, to an angry, raging cannibal, hearing that there's a rescue team coming is almost definitely just a sign of your prey trying to escape. Man, fuck everything about that, I said. I'd rather die in the nuclear firestorm than go through that bullshit. Precisely my thoughts as well, Ava sighed. Is that the church? Taya asked. We were finally getting close to the large cathedral. Now that I could see it better, I realized it was more rundown than I had realized. The entrance looked more like a gaping mouth than a door. That would be it, I said. We haven't been hit by any visions yet, but there might be one when we get inside the church. Would you mind stopping a moment so I could pray? Ava asked. Are you kidding me? I asked. Do you really think God's gonna hear you all the way in hell? Naturally. Fine, whatever. But you have to deal with the guilt if something eats me and my filly. Don't be a baby. You're in a coma anyway, so you'd just respawn. When we walked into the church, she gasped. What happened to the statue? It was defaced, I said. Literally. It looked like someone had taken a sledgehammer to the face of the big Jesus statue in the entrance hall. And someone put holes in his hands and feet, Taya said. No, those are supposed to be there, I said. Remember that God who was nailed to a tree I mentioned earlier? Meet Jesus. The God with the hammer sounds cooler. Who wants to worship some dead guy on a stick? Can I walk around while she talks to herself? No. Stay by my side at all times. You should have more respect for the foundation of Western culture, Ava said. You'd think an American would have at least some tolerance for Christianity. After seeing that the ponies have gods of their own, I don't see why ours are anything special. Hurry up and pray so we can leave. Preferably silently. She rolled her eyes and floated over to the Jesus statue. I'm not sure how she managed to kneel down while floating in the air, but she did it. So what's the point of this? Taya whispered. Personal comfort, I replied. It makes you feel better about not actually doing things. Or it allows you to give thanks for the things you are given, Ava said. If we only turn to God when we need things, what manner of children are we? Just don't ask questions about it, please, I said. You're just giving her more opportunities to waste time and annoy me. I hear something coming, Taya said. From outside. I pulled my sword out and turned to face that way. It turns out to have been a waste of time, because Taya crushed the zombie's brain as soon as it came into sight. It crumpled to the ground. More are just gonna keep coming. I am finished, Ava said. With luck, his guidance will see us through. I prefer Mommy's guidance. She knows where all the enemies are. Let's see if we get a spooky vision, I said as we finally walked into the worship room. What kind of? Taya was cut off by the appearance of a small group of 5 survivors huddled around a fire. There was a pot of red liquid bubbling over the coals. As soon as we saw them, they noticed us and jumped to their feet. Since I still had my sword out, I sliced the closest one open. The others grabbed their large clubs and started charging, but Taya's horn lit up and each one collapsed, leaking more blood. That kind of vision, apparently, I said. Not at all the one I had before. So why did you attack? Ava asked. Why wouldn't I? The sooner I get done here the better. I have a magic sword and my filly's special talent is murder, so violence seems like the fastest solution. The only ghost I'm here to talk to is the clown. Good, so let's keep going, Taya said, continuing to walk further in. I joined her and the bodies and fire disappeared. Where to next? One door leads to Igor's sex dungeon. The other leads to a ladder that goes to the command bunker. What? Ava shouted. There's a ladder right here. Yeah, I'll show you. Taya let me take the lead and they both followed into the main bishop's office. See the wall here? I asked, pointing at an area that was more warped and discolored. When they both saw it, I kicked in it, revealing the ladder. This goes way up to a room full of monitors and shit. I had another vision in there that made me think it was the command bunker. He could have skipped the entire bunker. He could have gone straight there. See there? Mommy's a much better guide than that dead guy. It's a tight fit, though. You might be squeezed against the wall a little. Are there a lot of areas like this? Taya asked. Where I'll have to hold on to you. Yeah, there are several ladders, some of which are pretty tight. Should I just turn into a human? No, you'll destroy your feet on the glass and rust without any shoes. We'll make it work. I knelt down so she could hop up on my back, then started the long climb up. I can't believe this was here the whole time, Ava said. Are you sure it's the right command center? No. This place is massive, so I doubt there was only one command center. Taya, is this too tight? I'm good. The closer I get to cuddle to Mommy, the better. So just what was running through your head the first time you came here? Ava asked after a minute of silence. Oh shit, oh fuck, I'm gonna die, what the hell? It was pretty much that on repeat for a few days. Add in being kept awake with magic for nearly a month and you get some unpleasant results. My mind was pretty much consumed with getting Mommy back, Taya said. And killing undead to sate my bloodthirst. Taya, you're prey. You don't have bloodthirst. How can I be prey if my special talent is murder? Back in my time, cows killed more people than sharks. That doesn't mean we ever considered them anything other than dinner, though. Well, sharks were basically extinct anyway, Ava said. So it's not like they'd kill many. They weren't when I got taken. Point is, you're a cute little filly. That makes you prey, regardless of what you do to fill your time. Send a light up the tunnel. I want to see how far we are. Taya's horn lit up and a few lights appeared. They all started floating up the tube and stopped along the way to create a path. Thankfully, it wasn't too much further. So did you really just climb this blindly? Taya asked. What if the top had been locked? The undead were surrounding the building. It was up or death. And it likely saved at least a day's travel time, Ava said. When we first got here, the bunker was a breeze to get around. But after things started breaking down, people would erect barricades, lock up elevators, and knock down walls. The place was an ever-changing labyrinth of nightmares. Yeah, I fucking bet. I'd much rather take the nuclear holocaust. At least then your soul could go somewhere instead of being stuck in a hellish limbo. At the very least, I've gotten to see a lot more of the world while attached to your side. It truly is a beautiful place, even if many of the denizens in it are troubled. I bet you've seen a lot of mares, too, Taya said with a giggle. More than I ever wanted to. I do my best not to watch. You're just jealous that I'm happier fucking tons of random strangers than you were fucking your loving husband. No, I'm horribly depressed that you're abusing your body this way. You're destroying your self-worth little by little with each new partner. Part of why you feel so miserable all the time is because instead of getting emotionally close to someone and letting yourself become whole, you try to fill the missing gaps with sex. Yeah, well, you're dead, so what would you know? What she said makes sense to me, Taya said. You know it's bad for you, you just don't want to admit she's right. Oh look, we're here, I said, reaching up to push open the door. Taya beat me to it and blew the top off with magic. I finally pulled us out and let my filly climb off. Are your legs okay? They'll be fine after a few minutes of walking, she said with a nod. So is this the same control room? No, thankfully, Ava said. Shall we continue? Let the speedrun continue, I said. We won't get any achievements since magic probably counts as any %, but I'm fine with that. Is that supposed to make sense? Taya asked. Not to you. Nobody ever understands me. And since I know nobody is reading this, nobody ever will. And if anyone does, it means I have some killing to do. We finally started moving again. When we got to the hall, we went left. So why say things that don't make sense? Taya asked. Well, you talk about wanting to have sex with me all the time, and that doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, and what I say usually makes perfect sense to me. It was a reference to video games, Ava said. Any % refers to cheating. Achievements are in-game trophies you get for various things. If you make references like these, you need to at least explain them. Otherwise, you just make everyone else feel like the butt of the joke. She actually does make some sense. Taya said, honestly sounding surprised. Are you telling me there were normal humans? Most of us were, in fact, Ava said. Navarone was deeply neglected as a child, so he developed poorly. I'm literally right here, I said. And I really don't like being reminded of it, so wait until I'm not around. I kinda can't, Ava said. You can tell me more, Taya said. I was neglected too, so I understand. Don't you start with me, I said. I wish you would start mothering me. I have been mothering the shit out of you lately, Missy. That made her giggle. You have. And I love it, Mommy. Good. Now, we're coming up on another fight. This time it's skeletons and they can't die. The room is also full of traps. As soon as the skeletons spawn, force them all to the ground. That should break enough bones that we can get through easily. Got it. Could that Jesus guy tell me where an entire room full of enemies is, along with how to kill them? Taya, stop it, I said. Don't get her started, please. You say Jesus and God all the time but you never explain it. Then read the Bible on my bookshelf. I made sure to keep a single copy for looks. I think it's time for a Bible lesson, Ava said. Today, we're starting in John. Oh look, the barricade, I said. That means the door should be opening right about. Sure enough, the new door slid open. Inside was the dormitory full of bones and traps. Wait, that room looks familiar, Ava said. I had a vision of you and Artyom, before. I led the way inside. Taya quickly followed, her horn lighting up. They spawned as soon as I triggered a trap. They despawned when I got to the other door. We might be able to get all the way through without triggering any traps, but they might spawn anyway and then we'd be surrounded by undead in a room full of traps. Twilight taught me a new spell on the way to the zone, Taya said. One used to trigger traps. Want me to use it? Cover your ears, trigger them, wait a few seconds, then uncover them. She and I both covered our ears, then she used magic to trigger all the traps. The only gun was the shotgun, thankfully. There were a few bear traps, a single large spike that fell from the ceiling, and a confetti cannon. As soon as the last of the confetti hit the floor, the bones started shaking. I wonder if I knew any of them, Ava said as they pulled themselves together. Probably. Taya. Her horn lit up brighter and all of the skeletons slammed to the floor. I pulled my sword out and started picking my way across, slashing at any arm or leg that got close. Taya followed behind, chuckling at the bones wiggling around. Aren't you glad you had me trained to be the best attack filly ever? She finally asked. Yes, but that doesn't mean you need to ever say that. Did you ever come up with another inappropriate yet adorable nickname? When we got out of the room, the bones stopped moving around. Yes. You're my little horny horse, I said, tapping her horn. I love it, she said. Best mommy ever. I should have said a longer prayer, Ava sighed. You're just jealous that you don't have an adorable filly, Taya smugly replied. The joy of motherhood is something I never got to experience, Ava slowly said. It surprises me that there are those who would so casually throw it away. We'll be coming up to the first boss soon, I said. Ivan the Butcher. He looks pretty spooky. I'm not sure how well magic will affect him, so let me take him. You sure, mommy? Taya asked. If you're too scared, I wouldn't mind. How could I possibly be scared with a filly to protect? I have to be brave to keep up your spirits. Why would I be scared? I have magic to protect me. But you're a sweet defenseless lady, so I gotta keep you safe. I flicked one of her ears. And this is the thanks I get. He's scary, but not that good in a fight. I was able to take him on even with all my injuries. Now that I've had more training, he should be cake. Then why are you making him up to be such a big baddie? Taya asked. Does he really count as a boss? It's a boss of a dungeon I've cleared already. I'm just railroading 2 newbies so we can get the XP and loot faster. Another video game reference, Ava said. Basically, it means she's been through here already, so her experience makes it much easier. Because it's easier for her, she can guide us through much faster. Maybe we should keep Ava after all, Taya said. It's nice to actually understand what you say. I guess I need to get more obscure. I was hoping Russia would still be a cultural wasteland, especially after religion took over again. If you don't want to be understood, why say anything at all? Ava asked. Mostly to annoy people, I replied with a shrug. I knew it. Taya shouted, slapping a hoof against the floor. Why would you want to annoy your own filly? I dunno, because it brings me a sick kind of joy? Like, I'm seriously fucked in the head. You realize that, right? At least you recognize it, Ava said with a nod. And admitting your problems is the first step to solving it. Since you're using this coma as a chance to change for the better, wouldn't you say it's time to leave that mean-spirited habit behind? I'd say it's time for you to go fuck yourself. I can read your thoughts, she replied with a giggle. I know you agree and are gonna start working on it. Yes, I think we should keep her, Taya said. You can get a soul of your own and we can just keep her like a pet. Then she can tell me all your secrets when you feel like being difficult. For one who once called pride a weakness, you sure fall victim to it a lot, Ava said. Is it so difficult to admit that I'm right? A body snatcher isn't entitled to answers, I said, flipping her off. Oh, you're just mad about my smug, better than thou tone, she said, reaching down to pat me on the head. I felt it, unfortunately. Didn't you say humiliation was something you enjoyed, though? What would your husband think about you hitting on a woman? Honestly? He'd probably be into it. I wouldn't, though. No matter how much of it I'm forced to witness, I have no desire to be with another woman, especially you. Ouch, my feelings. Before I could continue complaining, I saw a light up ahead. You see that? I do, Taya said. What is it? When I first came into the room with Yvonne, it was bright and sunny. I ended up in another illusion, this one from my own past. Taya gasped in surprise and started galloping forward, but I snatched her tail before she could get far. Don't be dumb, you're better than that. She groaned and started walking next to me, grumbling. The light got brighter and everything started heating up as we got closer. All the memories started coming back to me and I slowly drew the sword as we neared the room. Sure you don't want me to kill him? Taya sweetly asked. He's mine. I'm done running from him in my mind. I'm not afraid of that monster anymore. I'll do my best to stay out of your way, Ava said. But do remember that we're attached. If you move too quickly, you might get choked on accident. You can read my mind. Follow me in such a way that it doesn't happen. Surely someone who survived to the end of the bunker can manage at least that. She sniffed at me, but didn't say anything. The three of us finally stopped right at the entrance. Instead of a room, we saw a large outdoor picnic from back in my time. I could see my family preparing food at the table. My sister was near the pool. After taking a deep breath, I walked over to join her. Since talking to her would probably take longer, I just sliced her head off and kicked it into the pool. That turned it black instantly and the butcher started ascending. Being near the black tar was probably a bad idea, so I backed up to give him enough room to get out. Soon enough, Yvonne the butcher was revealed in all his horrific glory and the illusion vanished. Wow, Taya said. I thought you were exaggerating, but... Nope, you were right. Fuck that monster up, mommy. In response to that, the butcher turned toward her and roared. That was a bad idea, because I jumped forward and slashed at him. He deflected with his knife hand and tried punching me, but I sidestepped it and kicked him between the legs. This particular undead abomination apparently didn't have genitals, so all it did was give me a second's reprieve. I used that time to stab straight at him. He tried grabbing the blade. There was no time for him to realize his mistake. By the time his fingers hit the floor, my overpowered magic blade pierced his rotten chest. Since I knew that wouldn't bother him much, I ripped the sword up, slicing it out through one of his shoulders. Somehow he found the strength to swing his knife at me, but I blocked his arm with one of my own and kneed him in the stomach. That knocked him back a few steps, giving me time to lift my sword again. This time I swung low, slicing through one of his legs before he could recover. The demon lost his balance and fell to the floor. Despite that, he was still glaring up at me and groaning, trying to claw his way forward. I sliced through his knife arm and walked around to his side so I could use a foot to pin him to the floor. When he couldn't move around as easily, I finally impaled his skull against the ground. His body started seizing, making me stumble back. Taya caught me with magic and finally began incinerating the corpse. Yvonne screamed as he burned. He didn't gurgle or roar like before, he screamed and cried like a normal human. How how is he still making noise? Taya asked. You don't want to know the answer to that question, I said. So what did you think? Well, you were right. He was scary, but he wasn't really a threat. Why were you so worried about this place, again? Because it was incredibly traumatic. Before, I said I wanted to have this over with before you got here. But to be honest, I'm glad you're here. Why would you ever go to battle without your attack filly? Taya asked, her head tilting. I can't keep you safe if I'm not there. I won't necessarily agree with that, but I think trying to go through here alone again would have ended poorly. And I think having only Ava would be even worse. So thank you, Taya. You're my favorite pony daughter. Ha, I knew I was. Why wait, pony daughter? I'm not your favorite period. Since Yvonne was mostly gone, I finally walked over to reclaim my sword. The ancient metal was still cool to the touch. Shall we continue, then? I asked with a smile. Should you not first address your filly's concerns? Ava asked. There are no winners in the favorite game when it comes to parenting, so there's nothing to address. Now, when I first encountered Yvonne, I ran as quickly as I could, wherever I could. I'm sure there's a much faster route. You're up, Ava. I guess I am. Taya. Taya's horn lit up and I got grabbed with magic. Now, shall we address your filly's concerns? Yvonne responds, Taya, I said. Is now really the time for this? Why did you adopt Eva, mommy? Taya uncomfortably sweetly asked. The crazed look in her eyes seemed a closer fit to Luna than a filly. Am I not good enough? Was my love not enough? Or was I too creepy? Were you too scared of me, so you wanted to get a precious little cute daughter? Is that all you want to know? I ask. It's simple. She put me in a position where saying no wasn't an option. That made her blink in complete surprise. What? Of course you could have refused. Not without breaking her. You weren't there, Taya. In that moment, if I refused her, I honestly think she would have shattered. My decision to adopt them had absolutely nothing to do with you. So you did it for her, not for you. I feel like we've had this conversation before. Yet, the way we rebuilt her mind is special. In this time, she is quite possibly one of a kind. My name has a prestige of its own. Bringing her into my family will be the best way I can keep her safe from afar. I don't buy it, Ava said. Fess up. Wait, you were lying. Taya screamed, actually trotting in place in rage. Not completely, I said with a shrug. Everything I said was true. It just wasn't, you know, the whole truth. I can't believe you, mommy. Good, you shouldn't, I said. I'm a complete scumbag. Of course, the whole truth is probably worse, so you're gonna be even more mad in a second. She's about to start hurting you, Ava said. Out with it, Missy. I can't say no to cute changelings. Taya's mouth dropped. Try again, Ava said. I can't say no to cute smiles, I sighed, finally hanging my head. Eva nailed it. Completely and totally nailed it, Taya. The look of hope and adoration, the twinkle in her eye, the sound of desperate desire in her voice. I couldn't say no. And besides, I'm that girl's everything anyway. There's no reason not to make it official. Oh. Is that all? Taya asked. You almost got me angry. Well, let's get going, then. Her magic finally released me, so I started walking to the exit. You're just gonna give up? Ava asked. Wait, why does that only almost make you angry? I already knew mommy can't deny cute grins. That's why I've been practicing. I just didn't know Eva was so far ahead of me already. And you're not angry over how completely and totally irresponsible and dumb that is, she asked. Why would I be? I can't be angry at Eva for doing the same thing I am. That would be hypocritical. If she gets to manipulate mommy, so do I. End of part 2.